everybody, welcome to the 𝐂𝐸. I'm Jessica, and today's video is going to be all about buying curriculum when you're stressed. Raise your hand if you have ever been stressed to the max and add to cart has been your go-to coping mechanism. Yep, I am pretty sure I am not alone in this. So today, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how we can avoid it, and let's talk about some things that we can do instead. First, let's talk about why we crisis curriculum shop. The reasons that we do this, and I am saying this from 100% personal experience, is because we are stressed to the max typically, and buying curriculum, or at least shopping for the curriculum, adding it to cart, looking at it in general, it feels like control. Like everything feels like it's out of our control, but we can control searching for the curriculum, adding it to our cart, and purchasing it. It also makes us feel productive because maybe you are crashing and burning when it comes to math or to history or to science, and you feel like we just can't get these science experiments done. But if I go spend an hour looking for a new science curriculum, it feels like you're being productive, right? You're moving the needle in the right direction in the moment. At least that's what it feels like. It also gives us a false sense of solving a problem. Sometimes the problem doesn't even exist. At least in my experience, the problem doesn't even exist. But we feel like it exists, and therefore we want to solve it. And we think that that solution is going to be more curriculum, right? Today, the math curriculum made my daughter cry, so more math curriculum is going to fix that problem. Ask me how I know that's never the answer, because I promise it's not. If the curriculum made your kid cry, more curriculum is never, ever the answer. You can just go ahead and take my word for that, because been there, done that. Okay, now let's talk about why buying the curriculum or even just spending that time searching for it isn't going to help. It's not gonna solve the burnout or the overwhelm. If you are like actually burnt out, like you were totally burnt out, buying more curriculum or even shopping for the curriculum is just gonna stress you out more. You're just going to feel like, oh wow, this is the scope and sequence of this language arts. We haven't touched on any of this. And now you're overwhelmed because where your year may have been going well-ish, now you're like, there's 30 more things I have to teach. Or, wow, now I have to learn this whole new method of teaching because this curriculum that I've looked at uses a whole different structure and plan and setup than what I was using before. So now you're overwhelmed and you're burnout, and shopping has made it worse, not better. It also creates more pressure and guilt because you have added to your plate. And you also are now feeling guilty about the things that maybe you haven't taught your child or the things you haven't included, because maybe the science curriculum that you're looking at has these cool experiments and you haven't done as many experiments in your homeschool. That doesn't mean you're not doing it well, because maybe your kid doesn't enjoy experiments. Maybe science documentaries are their jam, but you feel guilty all of a sudden because this program you're looking at has an experiment for every lesson. And why are we not doing more science experiments in our homeschool? The other thing is that it can very, very often lead to buyer's remorse, especially if you actually check out. You have spent all this time shopping, you buy all of this stuff, it comes in, and like we said, doesn't fit your kid, isn't the solution, and now you've spent however much money on curriculum that you probably never needed to begin with. I cannot tell you the amount of things that are on my shelf that have never even been cracked open. Like, it is actually very, very sad because I have spent way too much time shopping and buying curriculum when I was stressed or under duress, and I should have coped in a different way. So now let's talk about those ways that we can cope. The first, number one tip that I have is to call a friend, specifically if you have another homeschool mom or another homeschool friend that you can call, because they can talk you out of it, or at least talk some sense into you. Like, hey, curriculum never works for you, especially that specific style. Your child doesn't like science experiments. The math curriculum makes them cry. More math curriculum isn't gonna fix it. Or that's really not your child's learning style. Or maybe that doesn't really work for you. As a parent, they typically will know you well enough to help you out. If you cannot call a friend, at the very least talk to your spouse. I'm not going to say Kevin can always talk me out of it, but a lot of times he can be like, there's not even a problem. Why are you even looking for that, right? He can just be the voice of reason. Don't always listen, but I do try to say okay, well, I'll just wait, a day or two before I check out and see if I feel better about it then. And that's the next step, is pause and reflect. What is actually not working? So if we are pausing and reflecting, we are going to take a beat And instead of shopping for the curriculum, we're gonna say, what is like the actual problem here? Is it just that they're crying over the math curriculum because they didn't have a good night's sleep, because they were hangry, because, you know, it's just one of those days? If that's the case, it's not the curriculum, right? Were you having one of those days? If that's the case, it's not the curriculum. Is it actually the curriculum? And even if it is the curriculum, what about the curriculum isn't working? Is it because it doesn't have enough hands-on components and your child needs more hands-on for learning? Okay, then let's go look for something hands-on. But before we buy more curriculum, is there a way that we can supplement and make what you already have work by adding like a hands-on resource? And if that's not the case, then okay, you can shop for curriculum, but make sure you're actually addressing the problem. Because going out and buying 5 more math curriculums that none of which have hands-on components is not going to fix the problem that you have, right? You've just added more math to your shelves that's never going to get cracked open. And because we have shelves that have stuff that never get cracked open, we're going to revisit those before we actually check out. Because maybe you have something on your shelf that will already work. Maybe, for example, you wanted to add more science experiments. The science that you're using doesn't have experiments, but maybe a few years ago for Christmas, your kid got this really cool science experiment thing or a kit and you put it on the shelf and you forgot you had it. Or maybe you've been getting subscription boxes for years and they've stacked up and you forgot and they were in your homeschool closet or shelves or wherever you store your things. For us, it's everywhere. Like literally every inch of our house has something stored in it. So revisit them, shop what you already have, see what you can use, utilize, or add to what you're already using that you already own before going out and buying more things. And then I want you to focus on connection before curriculum, always. If you are connecting with your child and you still feel like the curriculum isn't working, curriculum may not be the answer at all. It may just be that you need to go a different route. Like maybe curriculum is not the problem. Maybe curriculum is not the answer. Maybe you just need to be connecting with them more, filling their buckets before you even sit down to do the curriculum, play a game. I will never, ever forget the statistic when we first started game schooling, which is when Emily was 6. We were trying to learn math facts. It's always math, you guys. It is always math for us. Anyway, we were trying to learn math facts and I was banging my head against the wall. We had spent months and months and months and they were not registering. And we started playing Yahtzee over Christmas break. The math facts stuck. I didn't realize that it was like game schooling at the time. And I read a quote somewhere that said, for a kid, it takes 400 repetitions for them to remember something. So if they're doing a worksheet, like pen and paper, they have to write it down 400 times before they remember it. But if they do it through play, like a game, they only need 10 to 20 repetitions to remember it. So they only need to do it 10 to 20 times. So if you're trying to do math facts, you can get, 400 problems done, right, of the same math fact, or you can roll dice 10 to 20 times because that's play. And one of them is a curriculum. One of them is just a game. Or dice. Like it doesn't even have to be like you go and buy a board game. It could just be you go to the dollar store and buy a couple dice or a couple playing cards, whatever. So sometimes curriculum's not even the answer. Sometimes the curriculum is not the problem or the answer and you don't even need it at all. So prioritize that connection above anything. And then give yourself grace because sometimes there might feel like there's a problem, but it isn't, because you just needed to give yourself grace. Y'all were having a bad day. Like I said, you were hungry, you didn't get enough sleep. In our case, like the personal experience that I had was we had spent a month not doing school at all. We were sick, we had illnesses, we had injuries, we had taken a whole month off unintentionally. It wasn't planned. And when we came back, it felt like we were so far behind, which is crazy because I don't even believe in being behind, but we were so far behind. I was so stressed out. I was spiraling into a black hole of darkness. And I all of a sudden get online and I'm shopping and I'm adding all this stuff to my cart. Like you guys, I literally had 5 new curriculum. We don't even hardly use curriculum. Like we use math and we supplement with other stuff. We use unit studies. Like I design everything that we use for the most part. But somehow I was on 5 different curriculum sites and I was getting ready to spend hundreds of dollars because I wasn't giving myself enough grace to say like, you know what? life happened. You took a month off. It's okay to take a breath and just ease back into things. Like, you don't have to feel like go, 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 go. You're behind and you need all of this curriculum to fix it. And I promise you the curriculum wouldn't have fixed it. It would have came in, it would have made me feel stressed. I would have felt more behind. I would have felt like we had to use it because I spent the money on it. Then somehow I would have been trying to finish 5 curriculum in the next couple of months before school ended. It wouldn't have been good. Like, it would have been such a disaster. So to save you from that disaster, let's talk about some of the red flags so that hopefully you can stop before you get to checkout, right? So the first one is the I'm behind. You're spiraling. I'm behind. It's not working. We should be hear this lesson, or we should know this by this point, or this child is behind, or they don't know this, or whatever it is. You're spiraling because it's just, you're not where you thought you should be, or you're not where you think you should be. That is red flag number 1. When you start with the I'm behind, we're behind, you are spiraling, and you need to stop, because it's nothing that you do at that point is going to be good. The other one is comparing your homeschool to somebody else's, specifically social media. I find that in this day and age, that is where we compare the most to, is social media. So if you are comparing your homeschool to somebody else's, if you're comparing your child to somebody else's, if you're comparing your curriculum to somebody else's, or your teaching style, you as a homeschool teacher or mom or whatever, when they say comparison is the thief of joy, they are not kidding. You need to just walk away and recharge somewhere else, some way else, because it's not going to be good. If you are justifying a purchase because it is on sale, I can't tell you how many times I've done that, but if that is your justification, it's on sale, I'm just going to grab it while it's on sale. No, I'm not saying that that's wrong. If you will actually use something and it is on sale, by all means, save the money. But if you are like, it's on sale, so I'm just going to get it in case, or I want to fix this problem and it happens to be on sale, so that's going to be my excuse for buying it, that is a red flag. Walk away. You do not need it. If you still need it in a month or 2 and it's not on sale, it will probably go on sale again. Like, this is not your once and only time to buy it. There is more than likely going to be another sale. So don't panic purchase just because of that. And then the last one is thinking that it's going to fix the problem. There is no perfect unicorn curriculum, workbook, or resource out there. And I say that as somebody who creates resources. I love what we create. I think what we create works for a bunch of people, but it is not magical. It's not a unicorn. It's not going to come in and fix your homeschool. There is no curriculum that's going to do that. So if you are just sitting there thinking like, if I only had this, all of our math woes would be fixed or they would be solved, that's a red flag and you probably need to walk away. I just want to remind you that you are doing enough and that you are enough, and that you probably don't need more curriculum in your homeschool. You probably need more confidence in yourself and more connection with your kid. In my experience, after 9 years of homeschooling and shopping under duress more times than I can count, the solution has never been the curriculum. It has always been either taking a deep breath and becoming more confident in myself as a homeschool teacher, or spending more time connecting with Emily as our homeschool student. Those have always been what was needed in our homeschool, way, way more than the curriculum. Now, I would love it if you would tell me down in the comments if you too panic curriculum buy, and if so, what was your last panic curriculum purchase? I am just genuinely curious. And did it work? Was it a good purchase? Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no.